What does one do when everyone you rely on is no longer there? Many years ago, I met a man in Jerusalem who worked with troubled teenagers. He had an unusual strategy. He would take a group of 4 or 5 teenagers to the Jerusalem forest in the dead of night, drop them off one by one, and leave them entirely without communication or means of navigation until the morning. This story popped into my head while reading about the 4 astronauts on the Artemis II mission, the first human beings in history to pass behind the far side of the moon. For 40 minutes, the moon's own mass blocked every radio signal. Mission control fell silent. Earth vanished from their windows. They were alone in the vast universe. Well, admittedly, at a superficial level, the story of the troubled teenagers and the heroic, epoch-making journey of the astronauts bears little resemblance. But something about the Artemis moment stirred my memory. What happens when we human beings are stripped of our support systems, the scaffolding of our lives that hold us in place and give us a sense of equilibrium? One of the stories in the Bible may provide an answer. The patriarch Jacob flees his murderous brother. He is alone and in mortal fear. He has lost everything, all at once: home, family, his mother's protection, his inheritance, his identity. He is, in the words of the biblical commentators, stripped of all his supports. He lies down in an open field with a stone for a pillow. It is his far side of the moon moment. And that night he has a famous dream of the ladder with angels ascending and descending. And in the morning he awakes, and he senses that he is in a sacred space. And he says, "Va'anochi lo yadati," and I did not know it. I did not know it. In moments of profound isolation, human beings, the boys alone in the dark forest, the astronauts decoupled from Earth and their human support, discover something that they did not know. That even when the external scaffolding of life is removed, there is a deeper, internal scaffolding that remains present. For the astronauts behind the moon, it was 20 years of training, the accumulated trust of thousands of engineers, the faces of their families, the thought and the weight of civilization that had sent them. For the boys in the forest, it was the trust their mentor had invested in them. For Jacob, it was the presence and the closeness of the divine. There is an invisible web of love, of relationships, of connections, of education, of training, and of spirit that lives within us and is present even when the external scaffolding disappears. And perhaps the deepest human task is not to build scaffolding so strong that it never comes down, but to live so fully, to love so well, that when it does, we find we already have something on the inside. See you next time.